Hello and welcome to Josh Davidson Books. This is my author YouTube channel where I'm going to be doing a number of things related to the book that I have written and the books that I write in the future. My first project that I had in mind is I'm going to actually reread the entirety of Werewolves Hide in continued preparation of my working on its sequel. So the plan here is to dedicate a video to each chapter of the book. I'm going to reread the book, but instead of just reading the book and giving you a poorly read audio book because I'm not, a performer of any kind, I thought it would be fun to kind of stop and provide commentary of like what I was thinking or when I got certain ideas, things that excited me about writing the book, things like that. Again, an author commentary. So like a director's commentary for a movie, this is an author's commentary for a book. And then at the end of that journey, I will share a spoiler podcast that I had with two friends where I talked about the spoilers of the book. And then at the end of all that, I will do a title reveal, a cover reveal, a release date reveal for part 2, and then so on and so forth. We'll see what the future holds. So should be a lot of fun. I would highly recommend purchasing the book either in advance so that you don't have anything spoiled for you, or if you want to listen in on a couple chapters first and then find if you are interested in the story, please support me. Pick up the book. It's only $4.99 on Amazon, and I really appreciate it. The digital version is $4.99. I'm going to read my author's copy, not for resale, test print, so I don't have to mess with the shelf and actually take some of the extra copies down. So this video, all that said, we're going to start with chapter 1. And I don't know how this is going to go. This is very experimental, but hopefully if you made it this far, you're at least interested. So here we go. Chapter 1. The full moon shines... Let me try to hold this up here. I keep forgetting that I'm on camera. I don't know. This is weird. The full moon shines brightly on the lone rural highway slashing through the open plains. So I already want to stop. I knew for a long time that the full moon was going to be the first words of the story of the book because I wanted to set the tone, set the stage, almost be overly familiar so that people think they know exactly what's going to happen. Oh, it's a werewolf story. It starts on the moon. It's probably going to go just like every other werewolf story, to really kind of set up those surprises and changes that come later. Also, this exact same sentence with this exact same wording is used several times throughout the book because, similar to a movie, if you see like a repeated shot, I wanted you to have a repeated picture in your mind, like we were always coming back here, similar to the cover art on the book. We keep seeing this highway underneath the moon. We keep seeing this highway underneath the moon. So I kind of wanted that repeated imagery. A cool nighttime breeze comforts the stillness and silence in the air. Deep into the dark horizon, oversized silhouettes of canyons and mountains can barely have their shapes seen below the clear, star-filled sky. There's a vibrancy to the vacancy as the rural area allows the light to reflect upwards from the rocks and trees it highlights. Yeah, I just kind of pictured really almost exactly how the book turned out. Just this, open, wide Wyoming landscape that was like, too very dark, but for some reason you could see it all. So yeah, vibrancy to the vacancy there. A welcome sign on the edge of town reveals itself next to the cleanly paved road. Welcome to Blue Ridge, it says in yellow and angled cursive font with a picture of the state of Wyoming in the upper left-hand corner. It's faded and scuffed to almost nothing, but established 1896 and population 2012 can still be made out on the dark blue sign. So obviously, population 2012, it sets the stage of a very small rural town, but it's also a nod to my son, who the book is dedicated to because that's the year that he was born. Also, in the world of the book, the sign is cursive, but on the cover of the book, keep getting mixed up, we went with solid plain text to make it easier to read. And then my friend Junior, who designed the cover, found an actual logo of the state of Wyoming to really give it a more realistic feel, even though, Blue Ridge, Wyoming, that I made up is a completely fictional town. Let's see. The sheen from the night sky becomes washed out by two even brighter lights, headlights, from a red four-door sedan. They envelop the words until they are no longer visible as the car zooms past and heads back into Blue Ridge. The young adult male driver steers inside the car, smiling as the wind blows in from the rolled down windows. And again, as a reminder, I'm rereading this for preparation to write the sequel. I'm not going to be putting a lot of emphasis on words or performing it in any way. If you want, the actual the effect of the descriptions, just read it yourself and follow along later. The young adult male driver steers inside the car, smiling as the wind blows in from the rolled down windows. He uses his hand to wipe back, keep forgetting to hold the book up, his messed up, flowing brown hair, and almost knocks off his dark-rimmed glasses. In the back are two younger boys that are both wearing seatbelts. The boy behind the driver's seat is wearing a backward baseball cap and covering his left ear with his head down. The other boy, behind the passenger seat, is holding a baseball glove in his lap. He looks at his friend behind the driver, slightly confused and concerned. The boy with the glove tries to talk to his friend to see if he's okay, but the wind screeching into the vehicle and the faint music playing on the radio drowns out any attempts at getting his friend's attention. He takes his left hand out of the glove and stretches his arm toward his friend, tapping him on his right shoulder. The boy with the hat is startled and jolts up, immediately looking over to see what touched him. They both try speaking to each other, but it's no use. I did receive feedback that this early descriptor of the two boys in the car was a little muddled and confusing, and that was slightly on purpose because I wanted it to seem like they were interchangeable. Like these boys were really close friends, and it was really hard to tell the difference between the two of them. They do have two very specific items attached to them, where one has a backwards baseball hat and the other one is holding a glove, so I wanted a little bit of an anchor point, but I did genuinely want people to get confused because in the world of the story, when the boys would always come around together, people would get confused as to who was who because they were such close friends and always spent so much time together. Where are we at? The boy in the hat reaches up over the back of the driver's seat he is sitting behind and taps the driver on the shoulder, alarming him in the process. When the man abruptly turns around, the car crosses the center line slightly, and the tires squeal as he maintains control and comes back into his lane. Panicked, the driver rolls up both front windows and adjusts his rearview mirror to look back at the boys. I definitely wanted to create this sense of dread that something bad was going to happen, so slightly losing control, going over the middle line. I'm creating that atmosphere, and I'm also trying to get readers to assume that again, that what's going to happen, that the car is going to wreck a certain way, that an animal is going to come out and he's going to swerve and it's going to flip or something like that. Not actually what occurs. Hopefully, what occurs is a surprise. Let's see. As they roll up, finally the driver can hear his son shouting, "Dad, Dad, Dad." His shouts get louder as the window closes. "What, Sam?" The dad screams in fear and relief as he tries to figure out what was so urgent. "Can you keep the windows closed? It's too loud for Bo and you're hurting his ear." He looks over at Bo and gives him a reassuring thumbs up. "What?" A calmer and quieter continuation of Dad's confusion. "Oh, right. Yeah, sorry, kiddo. Sorry, Bo. Here." He turns the radio off. "Is that better?" Bo responds timidly. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." "Hey, how many times do I gotta tell you? It's Mr. Sir, or Captain Cool, or Rad Dad, or Sam's Cool Dad, but not Sir." Dad tries his joke nicknames to make amends for having the car too loud. Sam chimes in, feeling left out. "What do I get to call you?" Dad looks directly at Sam in the rear view. "I'm just Dad to you." "Kiddo, it's simple and boring, but that's how we like things." He looks back over to Bo. "Okie dokie?" Bo is still timid. "Okie dokie, sir. I mean, cool, Dad." "That's better." Dad smiles. So yeah, I don't know how I'm going to share the thoughts about this scene, but for a long time, I knew that this accident was going to happen. I never really thought about what the dialogue of the scene was going to be until I actually sat down to write the book. And I was trying to go for something that is naturalistic and believable. I didn't want to write dialogue for characters like they knew they were about to get into a car accident. But I also didn't want it to be so nonchalant and meaningless that it didn't carry any weight and it didn't have any purpose for the characters or the rest of the story. So I tried to find this middle ground where, to them, unbeknownst to them, it's a normal night, we're just having regular conversation, but this regular conversation has a little bit of weight behind it, and we learn a little bit about the world and the characters through the dialogue. Bo has a faint grin leave his face as he is overcome with dread. I don't think I can call you cool dad around my dad. That'll make him mad. Sam chimes in again, overly energetic and without a filter. I don't think your dad could get more mad, Bo. Everything makes him mad. He's all the time mad. And I know because one time I gave him Mom's cherry chip cookies, and even that didn't make him not mad. And everyone loves Mom's cherry chip cookies, right, Dad? I also, as far as like child dialogue goes, I didn't want to write it as an adult. I wanted to write it as a kid would speak. And a kid sometimes, says the same word more than once in a single sentence and doesn't really put as much thought into the way that they're communicating. Anyway, Dad is trying to tread the subject lightly. Listen, boys, food can fix a lot of things, but some people just are who they are. Luckily, you two still get to figure that out. At least we can cross hating Mom's cherry chip cookies off the list of concerns. Bo looks out the window as the nighttime landscape flashes by in a dark blue blur. The highway has no end in sight as the nearest town lights are still several miles away. Sam tries to talk to Bo again, but because he's turned away from him, Bo can't seem to hear Sam speaking to him. Sam looks up at his dad in the rearview mirror, and his dad gestures for him to wave. Sam waves at Bo, and in the window's reflection, Bo can see it, so he turns around to face Sam. Want to switch me seats? Sam asks in a calmer tone. I got scared when it started to get dark, and I got in the car real fast. I forgot you liked the right side. Bo nods yes, so both boys take off their seatbelts. Dad starts adjusting the rearview mirror to put it back up to its normal position when he sees this. So the character of Bo being deaf in his right ear comes from me because I'm actually deaf in my right ear. But that wasn't always the plan, because my first movie that I ever wrote, I used that same character trait for my first movie. And I usually don't repeat things. I don't like to repeat a lot of things, character types, descriptions, plots, genres sometimes. But because this is my first book and I was basically starting over as an author instead of a filmmaker, I gave myself that permission because I also knew in the rules of the world that different kind of ailments and challenges that different human beings have could actually come up, in the story. That was always a plan. So then I figured, well, I should give one of the main characters something to deal with then. Okay, so Dad continues. Boys, we're like 5 minutes away from home. Put your seatbelts back on. Sam starts moving faster. No, Dad, it's okay. We'll switch fast. Sammy, I said no, buddy. Stay in your seat. He hardens his tone and adjusts the rearview mirror to look specifically at Sam. Bo has his seatbelt halfway off and is frozen, waiting to see if he should keep following Sam's lead or do what Dad says. Pick your battles, Dad. Sam quotes his father's advice back at him and helps Bo keep taking his seatbelt off. The boys continue to swap seats as Dad lectures. Yeah, I meant fold your laundry, not ignore my safety precautions while we're in the car. You're lucky we're running late, or your little snunt here might have sent Bo back to his house. The boys finish switching seats and Bo gets his seatbelt on right away. Sam gets distracted arguing with his dad and leans forward toward the back of the driver's seat, instead of putting his on. Sam is suddenly defensive and worried. But you said if things go good, Bo's house might be our house, didn't you? You can't make Bo go away like that. You said our home is his home. Dad waves his hand back at Sam, gesturing for him to calm down and sit. And he's welcome any time. That's why we got 2 baseball sets and 2 sleeping bags and everything like that, Dad. Dad is tired and can't explain it all right now. I know, Sam. I know. You're right. I promise I won't ever send him home. You can both just get in trouble together. Deal? Deal. Sam is satisfied with his dad's response. So he quickly puts his seatbelt back on and sits down where Bo was before. And again, the idea of this tension of, oh no, one of the boys doesn't have their seatbelt on. Surely something is going to happen when the seatbelts are off. That's like how it always happens. But no, everybody gets safe and sound kind of back in their seats after being worried that they were out of their seats. Let's see here. Dad puts the rearview mirror back to its original position to see out the back window instead of looking down at the boys. Sam puts his closed hand out before Bo for him to bump it. Bo smiles and reaches his fist out in return when out of nowhere, a giant shadowy figure steps out directly onto the road in front of the car. The light beams offer the faintest glimpse of what this entity could be. It stands tall with shoulders higher than the roof of the vehicle. Dark fur glistens in the headlight glow as hundreds of tiny reflective sparkles shimmer along its body. 3 significant white slash marks break the black pattern of the creature on its left shoulder. All of these details become known in a flash, as there is no time to brake or swerve to try and avoid it. A once serene highway is now the site of devastation. The crunch and grind of metal screeches and smashes as the vehicle collides with the monster. Upon impact, the animal's strength is revealed as it stands its ground and takes the full force of the crash. The car's front end wraps around the beast as the rear wheels lift off the road from the sudden change in momentum. The pop of the airbag deployment echoes throughout the night air like a dour gunshot, filling the landscape with pain. That's the end of chapter 1. So I always had, for almost 10 years, I always had this vision of, got my handy dandy bookmark here for chapter 2. So I always had this vision of this car accident with a wolf, a dark wolf with 3 slashes on its left shoulder. I don't know where or why that imagery popped into my head, but it did. I just thought, what if this monster, had a history, had a past? I wanted to insinuate that maybe there was more than one monster early on. I think in the first drafts and for years when I was working on the story, it was known as the white slash wolf. But for reasons that will become more apparent later, I couldn't go that route anymore because it was definitely a dark wolf, a dark fur wolf, and it needed to differentiate itself and be easier to follow along in the action of the story. Filling the landscape with pain, I was really proud of that descriptor because that's just what it is. It's a painful scene now. And I guess that's, a metaphor because the landscape isn't actually filled with pain, but that's the phrase I would describe it based on what we had seen. So I don't, read a ton of books, and I purposely did not go and try to start reading a bunch of books again because I didn't want to know what other books are doing. I didn't want to know, I didn't want to accidentally follow another trope or another structure. I wanted to do my own thing. So technically this first chapter could probably be considered a prologue because in chapter 2 we have a time jump where the actual present day story starts proper. But at least for me, when I was growing up reading books, I knew people could take or leave the prologues. People would just kind of jump into the book, and everything in the story matters. So I didn't want to put a prologue that some people might skip. I just wanted my chapter 1 to be this little mini backstory of establishing the world and Blue Ridge and the solitude and kind of, the wolf-like monsters out and about that are going to start revealing themselves. So that's going to do it for this video for my author commentary on chapter 1 of Werewolves Hide. If you enjoy this series, please like the videos, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to support me or read ahead or get caught up, please consider purchasing the book. It is available on Amazon, and I have links for it in the description. So yeah, thanks for watching or listening. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.